So when you started out, then obviously you had your two buy-to-lets, and then you had all these different sort of options that you started to learn from. So what made you? I know your first one, and I know you came to me because, and obviously in those days, I was the serviced accommodation rents or serviced accommodation table. So you came and joined me a number of times. What was it in the end that kind of drew you to serviced accommodation?
Well, I think we had a buy-to-let that was coming free from tenants. They were leaving anyway. We needed to spend money on it. It needed refurbishing, decorating, etc. anyway, and a proper refurb. So I did say to my husband, well, whatever we do with this, we need to do it up really. So even if we're going to sell it, to me, we're going to get more money if we get it completely redecorated and refurbed. And when we looked at the return that we could get on a traditional buy-to-let, it was going to be okay. It would cover our costs, but it wouldn't particularly make us much money. So through someone else that obviously I met on your table, Mark Johnson as well, who actually is an agent for serviced accommodation, who happens to live locally as well, I asked him to do some research for me in our local area just to see what the returns would be if we did it as serviced accommodation. And he actually sort of, when we looked at the figures and the potential, he thought it was a good property for that type of potential. And I just thought, well, we'll take a leap of faith, really. Guided obviously by your experience as well, and of Mark's. He sort of basically sent me a list and said, do all these things, buy all these things and set it up in this way. And I had the help of a stager as well, Eloise Bright from Eloise Estates, and basically sort of just took a leap of faith. And you know what? It's done really well. So I think you have to assess the risk, but sometimes you have got to take a leap of faith as well. Otherwise, we'll never do anything, will we? We'll never do anything differently. And I think we took the view that, this is the scenario. If it doesn't work, okay, we've refurbed the house, we've bought the furniture for the staging, but that's the worst case scenario. We needed refurbing anyway. So, these are our other options if this method doesn't work. Sell it or go back to traditional buy-to-let. So I think we had a backup as well.
I think this is one of the things that what really made you shine in the tables that I had. Obviously everyone was lovely, but you spoke there about two other people, and that's why I love sort of helping people and seeing and loving this kind of more mastermind, more sort of personalized view, is because you met all those people basically on my table.
Absolutely.
And
both of them are on your table. Yeah.
It's so lovely to be able to look back and see strangers that are now, well, especially Mark has created the most incredible business. Eloise is doing the thing that she really, really loves. You're growing a business. And I know on top of that, there's so many, I could list loads and loads of, mutual people that have now become, what I consider to be really, good friends that I could call up. And I know that they would drop everything, to answer a question or to do those things. And that is where you have really embraced that to the full. I mean, when I look at how you have, you've utilized, and I don't mean that to sound in any way negative, but in an incredibly positive way, you've seen the skills of other people, known that you can't necessarily do it all yourself, which of course you can't. That's why you need your team. And you've literally said, look, can you help me? I would really like to do that. So how's it been with that network? Because for me, I've just seen you and networks, and you just do an incredible job of helping others as well.
But I think isn't that the way to run a business though? Look at the people who can do things better than you and get them to help you do it. I mean, that's the way I think we should all work. We all have our own set of skills, don't we? And there's always other people who are better at things than you. So that doesn't faze me in the slightest. I'm quite happy that you can work with them and they can do what they're good at, and you can perhaps provide opportunities for them or introduce those people to someone else. Networking is really key. And I've really tried, I would say that probably the last 4 to 5 months, I've really stepped up on my networking and trying to embrace that and create a personal brand and build that up, really, so you can build up your own credibility. I think that's so important as well. You mentioned earlier about landlords being, yes, we're running a business, but it's about providing a service. But to me, it's about having your own ethics, I suppose, and your own high standards. And anything that I want to be involved with, I want it to be the best it can be, and the best product it can be, the best stay for someone it can be, because that's really important, isn't it? To be credible. To be credible, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, we've got Laura, our lovely mutual friend Laura, who's just who said 2 beautiful ladies. We'll take that, Laura. We'll take that, definitely. That's very, very kind of you. So you made that decision, and obviously you got Mark. And I ask you as well, because I've written a book about the gold mine area.
Yes.
How important was it for you to really know? Because a lot of people, and this is something that frightens the heebie-jeebies out of me, is people say things like, "Oh, I've got a buy-to-let. I think I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give service accommodation a go." And that terrifies me. Yeah. How did you, I know you were, you've already spoken about it needed a refurb and things like that, but were you pretty sure that it was going to work before you actually jumped in?
Yes, because I mean, obviously you coached me a lot on your gold mine area. And to me, location is everything anyway. You've got to know your area. You've got to know the market. You've got to know what your returns are going to be. On whatever you choose to do with that, or as far as you can by doing, your own research. So knowing your gold mine area is key. I mean, I always think you can't move where a property is, can you? I mean, you can do all sorts of things with it, subject to planning or whatever, but you can't change where that property is. So I've chosen to invest locally to me. It might not be the cheapest area, but I know the area. I know the best areas. I know the schools. I know the roads that people want to live in. I know the rental income people are going to get within reason. I know what sort of prices you're going to get. So to me, that is really, really important. And if people want to invest in their gold mine area, which is outside of their locality, that's fine as well. But they really, I don't know, short of going to stay there or spend time up there or spend a lot of time speaking to agents and knowing the area, that for me personally was too much of a risk. I wanted to be within traveling distance of properties that I'm investing in, and I wanted to be sure I knew what my returns were going to be and have backup plans. It's all very well saying it's going to be serviced accommodation, but what if the market falls out of that? What is the backup plan for that property then? Because you can't afford to have it sat there, not when there's a mortgage on it. You can't anyway have it sat there earning you nothing, can you?
Exactly.
Because we've got a business. It's a business to run. Yeah. So the gold mine area and all of the tips and the strategy that you went through when we were working together were absolutely key to me.
Yeah, I'm so pleased for that. And I absolutely love hearing that people want to invest locally and do invest locally. I'm not saying that there aren't people who aren't successful, but I certainly see that those who are starting out and not necessarily starting out with, £1 million budgets just to go off shopping, that's a totally different strategy. These are people who genuinely want to recycle their cash, who want to maximize the properties that they already have. And generally that is looking at what exactly as you said. And it is so incredibly important. And I'm in fairness, I've just moved back to an area that I grew up in, and I'm actually really loving going and visiting those places and going down that lane that I would have never been before. But I still know where I am. I still know where they're good. And you say to the agent, where exactly is it? And it's like, oh yeah, that's the street that is really up and coming. That one down there isn't as good. and you get to know exactly as you say, and you get to speak to people, you know, even on the school gates, all of these things. It's just really key. So yeah, totally important for me. So I know that we mutually met these people that became your power team, I suppose. But was there a point where you thought, oh, I might manage the serviced accommodation myself? I know you chose Mark, who is, you know, he has created a really incredible, very efficient machine of a management company. What made you make that choice?
The honest answer is no, I've not once considered doing it myself. And that because to me, you need to work on your business, not in your business. I would be trying to do something that I don't have the skills and experience to do. You know, he does all the pricing structure. He organizes all the cleaning. You know, he basically sent me a list and said, you know, we need cameras, we need this amount of crockery, we need these types of beds, he sent me a list and I just ordered from the list. You know, he spent years building up and creating what works to do with the booking systems, what works for the guests, you know, all of the guest book, the check-in procedures. I don't see the point of me trying to do something that someone else has spent years honing in on their skills to get the maximum return. Yes, of course, he's taking a percentage for his work, and so he should. So it's in his interest to get the bookings full and the best price, isn't it? But ultimately, he's the one with a superhost status. He's the one with a pricing structure. He's the one who knows how to handle guests. He's the one who can get direct bookings. And I would just be trying to do something that's not my area of expertise. So not once have I ever thought I'd like to do that myself.
I love it. Love it.
And that's the truth. So
do you think you got that because you do have a sort of a background in business? Obviously, you help your husband with your sign business. Do you think that kind of helped you beforehand, or was it the community within, you know, property that you've come into? Because I know for me, that was quite a big shock. It was all about don't leave one job just to create another job. It was, and I've massively embraced it. Love automation, love all of those kind of things. What was it, do you think, that gave you that edge?
I suppose years ago I had a business in commercial vehicle trucks, of which I knew nothing about, and it became very clear early on that I was never going to know. I knew a top line enough as an overview, but I didn't know the details. But there were plenty of people surrounding me who did know the details. So it's far better, in my view, to utilize people and their expertise, and you be the person who perhaps pulls all of that together, than trying to learn an industry that someone's spent 20 years learning. You know, you can't know everything, can you? So utilize the people around you to do what they're all best at, and you be the person to pull that together and then be driving forward, looking for your next stage of the business. And know your power team, you trust them then to do their part and bring all that together.
Yeah. And also it's lovely. So I'd love to get a bit of feedback on Eloise as well with the sort of interior design. What I find then is once you're utilizing these people, what you create is almost better than your vision could have ever been, because you only know to a certain level, don't you? And actually these people then sort of elevate. You know, I remember with the hotel, it was really interesting. Our CGIs, we came back and looked at our CGIs and compared them, and they were so similar. But the final product was just so much better than we could have ever kind of imagined. It's just so beautiful and exciting. And I think those bits, when you get that added extra, I love that. But yeah, just tell us a little bit about getting, you know, the interior designer. How did that help you with that final product?
What, with the serviced accommodation?
Yeah.
Because it's actually helping me with my flip as well.
Amazing.
So the serviced accommodation, I think although it was aimed at, well, we discussed what we were going to do, but we're aiming for sort of mid-market, if you can say that. So it's not, where I live is not a holiday destination. So it wasn't that market that we're going for. And it also, we didn't want it basic. So we wanted it nice for contractors, but also families and things as well. So we decided on budget, we decided on ideas and colour scheme. But ultimately then she had quite a free rein, really. She came back with mood boards and ideas and things as well. And so some things we discussed and agreed, but she had quite a free rein as well. But Eloise has worked on a number of serviced accommodation projects. She's actually working with me now on the project that we are going to flip. And she's not done properties before to flip. So we're working together because that's going to help her business. This is the first time it's been a project that's staged to sell. And that's something that I really wanted to do, really want to break the ceiling price in the road, get the maximum price for the project and sold quickly. They're the sort of two key aims. Wanted to be a bit different. I know a lot of people do refurbs and then you've got a lovely, new empty house, but some people don't have that vision when they walk in to think, well, it could be furnished like this, or it could be set out in a certain way, or that's how much room we've got for beds. So that was really important with the flip project, that it's going to be staged for sale.
Yeah. And when you talk about that, this is another thing that has really shone out for me with yourself is when I have gone through, so much self-understanding, and especially when I've had help from, the Bob Proctor sort of group of people. One of the big things that comes out is that the more people you help, then the more you're going to receive. And that's one thing I've seen with you, with Mark, you're always promoting him. Obviously he did a great job for you, but you went out of your way and like talking to Eloise and also, seeing that she does a great job here. Would you be interested in maybe spreading your wings to do this as well? And I think that's just such a lovely ethos to have in life. And it's certainly, I see, then it brings people together, and then it will be great impact in a moment. But to talk about that networking that you've done as well. But I think this whole emphasis of not just thinking of yourself, but thinking of others in the process is so incredibly powerful. Has that been something that has just always been part of the way you are, the way you network, or has that been a something that you've kind of worked on and you've seen helping?
Yeah, I think we should always promote other people if we've had good service from them and elevate their business as well. And you're right, it's not done to get business back. Well, obviously you'd like business back, but that's not the main reason for doing it. I think if you've had a good service and work that's been done well, then that's great. You can promote them. And then if they're happy with what you've done, then they will sort of, business comes back to you. But I've not done it specifically for that. I think people who, provide a good service, what's wrong with recommending them? I think that's really credible, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's a huge part of what I do. I mean, I'm part of the BNI and lots of other things, and I just love recommending people. It's just such a wonderful thing. Now, is everyone perfect? No, of course not. But I actually gave somebody an introduction to a tradesperson the other day, and I think that job could literally change their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, really, and you just think, wow, that is so amazing. Just I didn't know it was going to be a huge job. I said, oh yeah, this person's great, and then suddenly it could be life changing. And I think those kind of things are pretty cool.